What to do when you're new. A lot of people try to tell me this when I was new, but I didn't listen. So, what I can say is, at some point, you will be ready to hear this message, and it is a good one. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jeff Gamble. I'm actually a traditional business owner. On top of that, ex-network marketer, and currently a John C. Maxwell speaker, trainer, and coach. And what we're here to talk about is what to do when you're new. Because when you're new, you don't really know what to do. You think you know, but what I can tell you is you probably don't know. Here's the first thing that I can tell you is become a student. Become a student of the industry. And the best way I know to become a student of the industry is go listen to the Jim Rohn CD, How to Build Your Network Marketing Business. You can find it on YouTube. If you can't find it on YouTube, you're already in deep shit because it just takes some research and some thought to go to YouTube and type in Jim Rohn, Build Your Network Marketing Business. The problem with going on YouTube to watch anything is you end up watching cat videos and explosions and ultimate fail and UFC fighting and all kinds of other bullshit that don't make you money. So stick to the subject matter that you need to study, which is if you got into network marketing, you paid to basically start a business and paid for the quote-unquote, it's not called a franchise, but for lack of better words, it's an individual distributorship, networking, whatever you want to call it. You paid money to do that. The problem is you probably didn't pay enough money to do it to actually be interested. And what I mean by that is people will spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $70,000 for an education, and they don't go to class, and they don't study, and they don't even know why they're fucking in school, and they screw around and take 5-6 years to graduate. So if people are going to do that with $30,000 to $70,000, when you spend your $100 to $200, maybe as much as $1,000 to get in network marketing, why would you expect anybody to do anything different than screw around? But when you decide to get serious, that's what this video is for the people who decide to get serious. You're like, what do I do? This is where you get serious. You listen to the Jim Rohn CD and start listening to it like a music CD where you start listening to it every day where you can literally repeat the lines. The birds got them. I mean, if you can't repeat the lines and you don't have it memorized, then you haven't listened to it enough times. People are like, well, I've already heard that. I'm like, what did he say about contacting? And you're like, I don't know. I'm like, what did he say about ratios? You're like, I don't know. I'm like, but you can repeat to me every fucking word of a CD that you just listened to and started listening to last week. You know, you got that shit memorized, which is why people like Lil Wayne make $8 to $10 million and your ass makes $8.75 an hour. Memorization, right? What do you want to memorize? Do you want to keep making 8, 10, 20, 50? I mean, even if you're making $50 an hour, I would rather make $50,000 residually than $100,000 working my ass off at some job with boss that I don't like, having to drive to work and get up before, the sun comes up. I mean, I happen to be kind of on my own. I own my own business, so I can kind of get up and go to sleep when I want to. I do have to come in, sometimes. But back to the subject matter. Number one, listen to the Jim Rohn CD. Number two, start reading a good book. And there's a couple good books. I'm just going to recommend one by this guy, Eric Worre. If you haven't read GoPro, you should. Even if somebody says, well, I haven't read that. Your upline's like, well, I haven't read GoPro. It's a good basic book that teaches you the basics of network marketing. Things like contacting, things like inviting, things like following up, things like how to close. You're going to have to know those things. That's a good book. Also, I'd recommend The Slight Edge. The Slight Edge just kind of gives you the philosophy of how to keep going, keep going, keep going. You're going to kind of build off of the last thing you learned. The last thing you learned is another great book in the industry. The Compound Effect is another great book. Every book kind of hits you differently, but I think in the beginning people are like, I need to know what to do right now, and GoPro is a really good, what to do. It's exactly what to go, and it's got some good phrases, good sayings in it. I don't use all of them, but a lot of them I do. GoPro would be the second thing. So the first one you listen, the second one you read, and people are like, well, where do I get to doing something? Here's where you get to doing something. Then you're going to make a list of 10 people. And you're like, well, I was told to make a list of 50, 100. I don't care what you were told. Make a list, make a new list of 10 people. Now, the reason you're going to make a list of 10 people is you need to get 10 people off the list as fast as possible. As fast as possible. Just 10 people as fast as possible. Write a list of 10. And what you want to do is you want to contact, invite, and present to 10 people. Now, you can get creative however you want to present to 10 people. If you say, hey, they're running a contest to see who can present to the most people, and I just thought of you, you would, somebody who would listen for 10, 15, 20 minutes about what I'm doing and be able to tell them your story of why you got in, what attracted you to this, a little bit about the company, a little bit about what the product line is, and then get them to some third party. The book and Jim Rohn also talks about how to, get them in front of what's going on. I like the idea of point and flip. I read, the program to them. And I found the people who are able to read the program eventually are the people who are able to memorize the program, who are the ones who feel comfortable about the program, who are the ones that end up closing a lot of people into the program, who are the ones that end up speaking in front of the room. Everybody that tries the shortcut, all I'm going to do is I was told to just send people to my website. Well, how many people have actually gone and looked at it? Zero. Zero people have looked at it. Zero people are watching your video. Why? Because people watch all kinds of other stuff. They'd rather watch a cat video. Now, if you're searching for money, then I would seriously sit down and learn to present. If you don't know how to present, call me or contact me and I will talk to you through how to present. I can take any company. I don't care what company, what service, what program, and I can show you where the information is online probably to make a presentation out of it, and what you'll do is the same presentation over and over and over again until it's memorized. If you don't have it memorized, if you don't have your presentation memorized, where you don't need the flip book, or you don't need the CD, or you don't need the website, then you don't know what you're doing. Plain and simple. And think about it. Would you follow somebody that doesn't know what they're doing? I wouldn't. Would you get in with somebody that doesn't know what they're doing? I wouldn't. Most people won't. That's why it's a good idea to know it. So next, after you listen to the Jim Rohn CD and you start reading your book every night, 10 pages. That's what I was taught, 10 pages. You can read 15, you can read 20, but at least read 10 so that way you can tell other people, hey, I read 10. I read 10 pages. And people are like, well, I didn't even learn anything in 10 pages. Then read the 10 pages tomorrow. Eventually it'll compound into learning what you need. So listen, read, make a list of 10. Number 4, present the opportunity to them. Present the opportunity to them. Present the opportunity to them. People are like, well, nobody will let me present the opportunity. Stop trying to sell it and start presenting. Say, do me a favor. I need 15 minutes. I want to tell you about what I'm working on outside of my job. So if you run across the right person, so if you run across the right person, you can refer them to me. And people are like, okay, what are you doing? And then you tell them. That's presenting. Last but not least, use your own product or service. Like whatever it is, make sure you're signed up for your product or service and you're using it. So that way you can say, hey, when I first started using this, here was the result. When I first started using my service, I saved money. When I first started using my website to do this, that, or the other, or travel, or whatever company you're in, you have a testimonial. Your testimonial is gold. That's where you make money. You make money telling stories about what you do. That's how it works. And then you repeat that process. Then you go back, listen to CD, then you read the book, then you make a new list of 10, then you present to 10 people, and then you use your product, and then you repeat it again. And people are like, well, how many times do I repeat it? Repeat it 10 times as fast as you can. As fast as you can. And people are like, can I do it in a day? Yes, but you're going to have to work a lot. Can you do it in 2 weeks? Yes, you can present to 10 people in 2 weeks. But if you present to 10 people in a year, that's too slow. I'm just saying. You're going to have to run fast enough to make the bike ride. You know what I mean? You have to drive fast enough to be able to steer on a bike and in a car. So what I've always been told to recommend is present at least once a day to be relevant. Present twice a day to speed up and be ahead of most people. You will be ahead of most people if you present twice a day. If you want to kick the living shit out of everybody in your company, out of everybody in your upline, present 3 times a day. If you can present to 3 people, it's 3 people. It's 3 people. You can present to 13 people here and 5 people here and 2 people here. That's if you're awesome. But if you just present to 3 people a day, about every day, you will beat the crap out of everybody else in the industry. Period. So people are like, well, what do I do? That's what you do. Those 5 things and then repeat. And those 5 things and then repeat. Listen, read, make a list, present, and use your product or service. So with that, guys, I appreciate everybody for watching. Like this video, share it with somebody who needs it, and we'll see everybody on the next video. Thanks.